What's going on, everybody? Good question I got a while back, because I'm sure it crosses many people's minds, is how many calories do you burn on a total gym or slotting bench trainer? So in this video, I'm gonna do my best to address that question. I'll tell you guys approximately the calories that I burn based on this smartwatch I recently picked up. And then I'll kind of talk about some ways you can kind of use this information and how much it really matters. Now, just to be honest, guys, I was super resistant to even picking up one of these Apple Watches or even just fitness trackers in general. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with them based on some experience I have with other people. So maybe I'll get into that a little bit. I will link this down below if you guys are interested. Maybe I can do a full review on this if you guys wanted my kind of 2 cents on it from somebody who, again, was pretty resistant to it. But so far, I do like it. There's a pretty good deal going on right now, which is why I kind of pulled the trigger. My wife got one too, so maybe I'll get into that a little bit. But I'm definitely curious if you guys want to comment down below if you guys are using fitness trackers, if you're tracking your total gym calories, just what's your progress doing it? Do you like doing it? And if you guys want to share those numbers down below, I think that would be really cool. But as always, if you guys do like this video, like this content, it always helps me out if you guys like, subscribe, share this content, put a lot of effort into putting out these videos for you guys. So always much appreciated, and always let me know stuff you guys want to see in the future. Now, a lot of you guys may or may not know, but there's actually a number of variables that kind of go into giving our overall kind of calorie count for not just the exercise session itself, but also kind of post-exercise. But some of the most basic variables that we can factor in to kind of get an idea about our caloric count might be our height, our weight, our working heart rate, our gender, our age, and pretty much this is what the Apple Watch and other fitness trackers are utilizing. The Apple Watch specifically has like a workout app where you can kind of better determine the caloric expenditure based on apparently specific algorithms depending on the workout that you're choosing. So you guys will see here when I did this total gym workout, the one that I thought fit best was considered like functional strength training. Now, if you guys don't have a smartwatch, there are some online calculators that can help kind of determine a rough estimate of how many calories you're burning for a given activity. And I will link those down below in the description box, and we'll actually compare how they fared with what the Apple Watch is saying and what those calculators were telling me. Now, these online calculators are definitely not perfect, but they are pretty good. And as far as giving you guys a rough estimate, they generally kind of go off measuring METs, which stands for a metabolic equivalent of a type of workout or exercise session. We don't really have to get into what METs really are. All you gotta know, really essentially know, is they're kind of like a measure of how hard a given activity may or may not be, or just another gauge of intensity. So there's a number of studies that were done that kind of help kind of calculate a given working MET for, let's say, rigorous exercise, going out for a light jog, or even doing something like jump roping. And so when you enter this stuff into the calculator, you got to pick the activity you're doing, and that's kind of how it's ballparking the amount of calories you're actually burning in that session. So like I said, we'll kind of compare those online calculators to the Apple Watch at the end. But what you guys are going to see here, once I kind of had the Apple Watch set for the workout, which was a functional strength training workout, I basically tried to mimic two different separate days doing upper body workouts that were pretty typical to what I normally would do. On this first exercise session, I broke out the Total Gym Fit, did a variety of pushing, pulling, did some light abdominal stuff, did some arm stuff, typical stuff you guys see in this channel. The only difference I think in this one versus the second workout is that I did include some external weight plates, so I tried to up the intensity a little bit more in this one versus the second one. In the second workout, I actually busted out the Great Flex, and that one doesn't have that weight bar attachment, so I didn't use any external weights whatsoever. I think I did put on some light band stuff a little bit later on, but otherwise, pretty basic stuff. Pretty much a very similar workout to what I did in the first workout. But I just kind of wanted to see two separate readings on two different but very similar workouts. All right, so now you guys are gonna see some of these numbers after each workout. So first, looking at the first one, as soon as I hit the done button on that workout, saying I finished the workout, you can see here that I finished basically at 37 minutes, which I'll actually add. This is a little bit longer than usual. You also got to consider that I'm actually kind of fiddling with the camera to get set up at different angles, so that kind of wastes time. But in general, I actually finish usually like at 30 minutes, even assuming I actually adjust the camera a little bit. So this was a little bit longer than normal, just to kind of give you guys an idea. I'm not sure why it was the case. Now, what I've heard is a little bit unique to the Apple Watch. It actually is kind of cool. They give you active and total calories. So the active calories are basically what it sounds like. These are the calories you expend during the actual exercise session itself. The total calories factor in your resting calories, which is kind of based on your basal metabolic rate, or those calories that you're going to be using at rest. So you can see that my active calories in this workout were 191 and my total calories were 263. So what that's kind of saying is that my basal metabolic rate was, or the basic amount of calories I'm burning essentially at rest, was 72. And then plus when you add on that an extra exertion of calories I'm doing in this workout, that gives us that total number of 263. Again, take this as kind of an approximate number, which we'll kind of touch on that later. And then finally, my average heart rate was 127, which according to like a rough max heart rate estimate, which is like 220 minus your age, I'm basically kind of looking at, I'm working at roughly at around 70% of my max heart rate. Again, even that's kind of an approximate. You don't truly know your max heart rate just on doing something simple math like that. And then on the second workout, I actually finished really close to what the first workout was, which was already kind of atypical, but I finished at 36 minutes and 24 seconds. My active calories were 217 and my total calories were 288. And even though I finished a little bit shorter, you can see these total calories were actually a little bit higher, which I remember at the time that workout did feel a little bit harder compared to the first one, even though I was using external weight in that first workout. But actually my average heart rate was a little bit lower at 123. Okay, now if we go into one of these online calculators, and I'll link this one down below, I selected moderate weightlifting. I didn't weigh myself that morning, but I'm pretty sure I'm at 200 pounds, but that'll factor in, how accurate this is gonna be. So if you wanna get this as accurate as possible, weigh yourself. I put the time at 37 minutes. I just rounded up a little bit. You couldn't do seconds, wasn't coming out right. And I only did it for one example because both workouts were so close. I just left it at 37. But you can see the calories were actually pretty close. It told me that it would be predicting around 290 calories. And honestly, this is kind of what I assumed it would be, just taking a wild guess. I would have thought somewhere between like 200 and 300 calories is how much I'm typically burning in those 30-minute workouts I'm more or less doing. And this is just kind of based on my knowledge of mets and just kind of what I know, like what's a general caloric expenditure for like some moderate physical activity. And also just intuitively, I don't know if I've really shared this that much, but since I started working out in the total gym versus going to the gym, I've noticed that my hunger isn't as high as it used to be, or I don't feel like I need to consume as much. And that just kind of tells me I'm not burning or utilizing as many calories as I once was before. Again, that might sound bad to some of you guys. I don't look at it as really necessarily a bad thing, but we'll get into this a little bit later, that your body does like to it fluctuates, So if you work out really hard and do a really hard, like 60 plus, weight training workout, or if I'm just doing hard, heavy weights in general, that does definitely amp up my appetite, and that kind of makes sense. Even recently, just kind of doing some more like outdoor yard work and just being outside a little more on top of the stuff from the total gym stuff that I'm doing, I noticed my appetite's kind of increased as well. But in general, you can use your appetite kind of as a gauge of kind of like, how many calories you're burning in that particular session, how much work you're actually even doing. All right, so once we kind of have this information, what do we actually do with it? Now, first and foremost, I wouldn't get too hung up on these calories being exactly totally accurate, even if you are using a smartwatch, or even just obsessed about these numbers in general. I just kind of use these numbers as like a baseline measurement on a particular tool. I say this a lot with people that are obsessed with body fat percentage or even like their weight, recognizing that's gonna fluctuate throughout the day, but if you really do wanna check and see if you're progressing or degressing or whatever, use that standard scale that you're using, recognize that scale might be off or that body fat percentage might be off, but as long as you're using that same device and you're coming back to that same, baseline that you're kind of comparing it to, at least you can see, at least approximately if something's going up or going down. But oftentimes, you guys kind of know this, that people can use calories as just another measurement or gauge of like intensity or just like ways of progressing their overall workout. So a lot of like cardio machines or other kind of stuff that's out there might tell you a caloric burn, and some people are really, again, obsessed with that number, thinking like I burned 500 or 1,000 calories, whatever. Just recognizing it from machine to machine, that's gonna be different. But at the same time, if you're comparing that same baseline, let's say you're using a fitness tracker or something like that for like your total gym workouts or resistance training workouts, it is a nice baseline and something you can use as a handy tool. So you could set your workouts to be revolving around calories in some way, saying like, well, I'm just gonna work out as long as I get to 300 calories or whatever, 400 calories or some sort of caloric number, versus saying like, if you're just gonna say going by time initially, well, I'm gonna start doing 15 minutes versus 20 minutes. That's still great if you're kind of continually working, but you guys know like you're not gonna count 20 minutes in a workout session. You could be wasting time on some days. So if you got something like this, you could just use this as a way of kind of simply progressing. That's a little bit more specific than using like general time. So this is an option for you guys, especially those of you guys who are just starting out looking for something really simple as a way to kind of gauge and progress using the machine. Something like looking at total calories per session could be great. So starting off like little goals and then can gradually amping them up, but just being careful not to kind of overdo it and getting some sort of like exercise addiction. But yeah, definitely don't make calories an obsession. I always kind of caution people to not chase the calories. There are so many things at play with just our body composition in general other than calories. So yes, calories matter, but of course we're all gonna know and admit that diet is definitely, if not more important, and then also your other lifestyle factors as well that contribute to your whole metabolism. So yes, while tracking calories or even steps and other kind of fitness trackers can be a great way to kind of push you and motivate you to kind of go a little bit further each day, they also have a potential to kind of backfire and drive you a little bit more mental. I got plenty of stories in the tank of people that have expressed this to me, that they've kind of done just too much than they really planned, or they start overly obsessing about this and really losing sight of their overall goal they initially really had. And just because you are focusing on calories or even like step counting doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to deliver on what you're putting out. again, got many stories of people that, let's say with stepping is a good example, they say I have X amount of steps in each day. And again, that's a great, nice holistic way of kind of looking at just kind of pushing yourself to move. But then some people come back and say, I constantly am increasing my steps, but I'm not losing weight. Some people are saying they're actually gaining weight, and that's them not looking at the kind of the big picture. They're looking just purely at one little number or metric, when again, the metabolism is pretty complex. They're not factoring in if they're doing a lot more work, odds are their appetite's gonna increase, or are they eating more, or is there any kind of like a pushback? I mean, the extreme examples, people that start just pushing themselves so hard and so high, again, they're losing sight of their overall goal, which was kind of initially kind of getting into, which is, focusing on, if your goal is like strength training or kind of building more muscle definition, or just kind of, again, building or toning your body, whatever, and you're focused now on this like caloric burn or energy, and you're chasing that versus saying focusing on the muscle and training the muscle effectively and efficiently, that can be something like a big trade-off you kind of got to consider. So kind of getting into a better way of doing things, if you're using the total gym to really burn calories or, like, say, reduce body fat, you might have found those numbers kind of lackluster, to say the least, because if your pure goal is just to burn calories and get the highest caloric burn for like your bang for your buck in that time you're doing, there's a lot more effective ways that are actually out there. In fact, I actually just kind of compared to something simple for jump roping for the same amount of time with my body weight. And if I did like slow jump roping, I was burning 456 calories. And then for fast jump roping, 567 calories. So yes, the total gym will help you guys build calories, but where this machine really shines in increasing range of motion, flexibility, another kind of low impact way of resistance training, but building lean body tissue, shaping your body's overall functional performance in general, is to, again, focus on the things that I've kind of stressed on this channel, which is definitely find those exercises that work for you and with obviously good technique. Get rid of all those kind of fluff exercises or exercises, this is kind of individual, that just don't work for you. So I might show you guys some things that I think are really cool. They might not work for you. Just kind of discard them. For sure, definitely focus on the muscle and focus on that muscle tension. Don't focus on, this can happen easily, if you're just chasing the numbers, chasing the calories, you're gonna lose sight of where this stuff really shines to get results, which I keep saying, kind of feeling the muscle, that mind muscle connection, however you want to describe it, but finding those exercises that really dial in, that muscle tension so that you can get those results. And I kind of don't say this enough, even though this is like kind of a total gym, sliding bench training centric channel, if you're doing stuff and it's not working for you and you got something else in the home where you can put something else in there, if it means going to the gym, the point is, don't stick to something that isn't really working for you. So aside from just the exercises itself, it's efficient exercise and workouts and structure you're putting together, if the total gym's not working for you, you can include something else that is kind of definitely making you feel the muscles and getting the most out of your workout session. Definitely go ahead and do that. All right, guys, so that's it. Hopefully this shed some light on the caloric picture. Maybe you got some good important takeaways from this as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did, please again consider liking, subscribing, sharing this content as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.